lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan, and today I'm going to be going through a classic issue of Daredevil, Frank Miller Klaus Janson, Roger McKenzie on script. This is one of my favorite issues from the run. Obviously, killer cover, no pun intended, with this image of Punisher shooting Daredevil. First meeting of the two characters, so definitely wanted to kind of just dive through this, show off a long overdue issue from the Frank Miller run. So we open up, this girl starts spazzing out, and we'll learn that it ends up being something to do with a drug overdose. The scripting, the writing, talking about what's going on inside of her head as she's like, the snakes have wriggled in her ears and they whisper awful things to her, and she just ends up flinging herself out of this window. And I love the way that the panel breaks here, and we see that this is where she lands as Matt goes to change into Daredevil. She's only 12 years old. What's gonna happen? The ambulance is 15 minutes away, so Matt picks her up and runs her to the hospital himself. And just the look of sadness in his mouth, because you can't really see his eyes so much as they're kind of like dimmed. He can hear her heartbeat. It's slowing, it's stopping. He's just praying that he can get there in time. Then we meet her brother Billy, who's devastated. She overdosed on angel dust, and we can see that like the doctors, talking about it. He doesn't understand why this keeps happening. And it's interesting to see that back when this is written, angel dust, I don't think that that's as prevalent of a drug now, but it was definitely something that you could sprinkle on. I mean, as he says, mint leaves, tobacco, marijuana, and smoke. Has all these different names. It was an animal tranquilizer, and it was banned. So this whole issue is dealing with a lot of what I think the Frank Miller run kind of did. Dealing with more, street level crimes, not so much focusing necessarily always on the superhero aspect, but just what was going on in real life. And so now everybody is going to be on the lookout for this drug dealer to take him out. We got Daredevil's going to be hunting him. Billy is grabbing his dad's gun, and he wants revenge. I love this, that Daredevil's in his costume, but still with the disguise, nobody's going to see his mask. I just think it's funny. But, he's on the hunt for this drug dealer because now he feels some sort of a sense of responsibility because, he tried to save this young girl's life, couldn't save her, and now we get introduced to the third party that's hunting down these drug dealers, and it's the Punisher. Punisher's always been one of my favorite characters. I think fits so well within the street level heroes. I know he's more of an anti-hero. At times he was painted to be a villain. I know that throughout his history, there's, some people that don't agree with the character, kind of ignore that. I think that he's an interesting character, because he has his own sense of morals, even though he's a murderer. At least he's going after people that deserve it. So in his eyes, he's just trying to rid the world of scum. And I love this, that Daredevil can pick up on how big he is. His heartbeat is strong. His movement's confident, fluid. He's in excellent shape, and he's a killer. I love this. Remember my face, punks. It's the last thing you're ever going to see. And I want you to carry the memory of it straight to hell. And then we get the first meeting. Even Punisher talking about how he's read about him. Pleasure to meet you. I'm the Punisher, perhaps you've heard. And then Daredevil takes off because he sees that, this Hogman's partner, right, one of the drug dealers, gets taken out by a gun, and it ends up being Billy. And this is what's really insane too, is he just wants to fucking get revenge for his sister's death. And he's shooting a drug dealer, but now he's being tried in court, and he's, they're talking about how it's, the crime of an adult, and he should be tried as such. And obviously, they're going to try to save him from that, right? But Matt Murdock comes in and is now going to try to prove his innocence, and he wants to represent him. And just, this is such a heavy topic, because yes, we're looking at this through the lens of a Daredevil comic with characters, like the Punisher involved. But really, this is just a story of a young girl is killed because of a drug. Brother wants revenge and goes to seek it, right? This could easily have just been a story about regular people. And you have to think that how many times did this happen? How many times is this still happening where loved ones, want revenge against the people that drugged their or were the cause of like their family members having drug overdoses or dying because of drugs. And now, seeing that like he's saying that he didn't kill the guy, and Matt's like, don't worry, I got you. I'm gonna find a way to get you out of this. So Daredevil goes to Ben Urich. He's one of the only people that knows who Matt Murdock is and that he's Daredevil, and they have this relationship that is, I don't think it's as prevalent now in the comic books, but it was definitely a relationship that was, and a friendship that was definitely prevalent throughout the Miller run, a lot of, especially in the Bendis run as well. And then he wants information about the Punisher, and he's like, dude, you're crazy, or you're just tired of living. So he doesn't really know who the Punisher is. Punisher has a knowledge of him. Now you're going to get a little bit of the backstory you're going to get a little bit of like the motives of the Punisher. So if you weren't familiar with that character, you're learning a little bit about him just as Daredevil is. And now Daredevil's going to go seek out some evidence to see how he can save Billy from going to jail. And I love this, his detective work is just going from different areas, trying to figure out how the shot could have been done, who could have done it from what angle, and his radar sense is helping him do that. Even so much as like smelling this like gun shell that he steps on and seeing that it was fired recently. So kind of cool to see, Daredevil doing this detective work, which is, I would say, not something that we always see him doing. This is when I love Frank Miller stuff, from his Daredevil run, the fighting, the choreographing, is just, he had such a cinematic element to his art. And I love that, we can see Daredevil off in the shadow. We can see somebody off in the shadow beating the crap out of this, drug dealer. And we see Daredevil hearing it. And then he goes and he stops Punisher from killing him. Because, as we all know, Punisher doesn't put people in jail. He puts people underground. He's killing them. He doesn't care about the legal system. If it's a criminal, he's killing them. He's taking them out. And in his mind, there's no other way to do it. I love this too, as he's telling Daredevil, like, if we must fight, let it be as allies. Together we could terrorize the underworld, eliminate the enemy we share. And, Daredevil's a lawyer. Even though he's a vigilante, he believes in the law. So he's like, whether you kill innocents or criminals, it's murder. And that makes us enemies. I'm bringing you in just like any common. Boom. Punisher throws that punch. I love these old ads, man. No matter how many times I go through these old comics, still so cool to see some of the like X-ray glasses, magic smoke clouds. So cool. And right here you think, oh shit, Daredevil just got shot, but really he shot him with a tranquilizing dart. And while he could do it to this drug dealer, nope. I want you to feel this. I want you to suffer as I have suffered. And Punisher takes him out and kills him. Or so we think. Because Daredevil is like, no, he's even, as he's drugged by this tranquilizer, he still is trying to save people. And he starts trying to get his heart to beat. And he's like, the Punisher won't take a life. Not another one. And he is able to bring him back and saves him. And then pan out to this Greek restaurant. Daredevil's, he's like, so Flapper was bleeding your drug racket dry. He figured he could cut you out, and he didn't figure you'd put a bullet through his back. That was his mistake. Yours was being born. Daredevil drags this dude away. And this guy comes in that he drags out, and he drags into court, and he's like, oh, you're making a mistake. I didn't kill him. And even Matt's like, he sounds convincing. And so maybe he didn't do it. This is a great shot too of Punisher, in his headquarters. Doesn't need much, just has this trunk, obviously, like probably keeping his weapons in there. And we can see, as he's listening, and he sees that, Billy was acquitted of the charge of secondary murder. And Punisher's listening to all this, and he's saying, his client's innocent. He deserves the best defense possible. I intend to make sure he gets it. Punisher doesn't agree. He's got other plans. Then we get this quick little ending. Daredevil's with his girlfriend at the time and proposes to his girlfriend, asking her to marry him, and that's where we end. And then the next issue will take place continuing the story of Punisher versus Daredevil. You know, basically Punisher and Daredevil going at each other, and Punisher's now going to be going after this little kid because he thinks he's a murderer, and to him it doesn't matter how old they are, he's gonna get justice any way he can. This is a fantastic issue. Definitely going to plan to go through some more of this stuff, go through more of Frank Miller's run. I mean, there's so many great issues, so many one-offs, and hope you dug that. Make sure you check out the rest of the channel. Like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you're notified every time a new vid drops. And on that note, I'm out.